All right, so today I want to talk about the top 5 reasons why people will never escape the West despite having the desire to do so. Okay, reason number one, a lack of established infrastructure in Ghana. So let me talk about my Ghanaian diasporans to begin with. A lot of us are dotted all over the world, especially in the US and the UK, and we inherently have an advantage, whether you like it or not, or whether you want to acknowledge it or not. We have an advantage. Some of us have had family who have taken the time to build their own homes, etc., and now they sit on mortgage-free homes in Ghana. If you have that advantage, you've probably been leveraging it for your holiday periods, etc., and you come, you enjoy, and you go back. There's nothing wrong with that. However, many people who want to come don't have that inherent advantage. They may not have any connections, they may not have any network, and as a result, they have to pay retail and bogger prices. They have to pay inflated prices to stay in accommodation. We know that real estate in Ghana was overinflated. They may have to pay over the odds because they don't know how to do anything differently from what they have in the West. So it's an adjustment that takes time, and sometimes it takes money. Well, it takes time and takes money. And sometimes people come with the wrong expectations. They don't experiment enough to make sure that they are doing the right things in a new environment, like you should anyway. So lack of infrastructure, lack of access to knowledge. So people who are in the system, who know the system and not have to navigate it effectively. So that I'd call it knowledge infrastructure and kind of physical infrastructure for you to somewhere to rest your head effectively. Another big reason, I think this might be the number one reason, is children. So I'll speak from a UK perspective and what I've seen elsewhere as well. The best time to move to Ghana when you're a family is 100% when your children are under 5. There's a few reasons for that. In the UK, once your child passes their 5th birthday, so from reception to year 1, you cannot easily take your child out of school during term time to go and live in Ghana or wherever. You have to formally withdraw them from the school system. If you do take your child out during term time, you will be fined. Social services may be called, etc. So, and inherently, it's very appealing to be in the West when it comes to schooling. Under 5, it's appealing to be here because under 5 and under 3 is where the costs are astronomical anywhere in the West when it comes to childcare. I was paying anywhere up to about £1,000 a month to get 4 days a week in nursery for my firstborn, and effectively what happens is then 2 parents have to go out and work just to pay nursery fees. So, but that is whereas here for an under five, for my secondborn now for his nursery, and we picked a really good one. We pay £500 or the equivalent, about £480 a term, right? So a fraction of what we'd have to pay day to day, and it enables us both to work from home and be at home. The other side is once they're into school, they develop friendships, etc. What you'll find is, and I hear this a lot, you'll find parents of kids kind of just going through the day-to-day, paying bills, etc., and their kids are going to school, great, but then they don't have an opportunity to up and leave because then they're uprooting and removing the system or the harmony that you have for your elder kids. And so what happens is if you don't try before your kids are 5, you have to wait until they go to university, right? So that is an additional 13 years. So you may unintentionally spend 18 years of your life in the UK or in the US, even though your heart wants to come back to Africa or back to Ghana because of your children. Now, this isn't to slight anyone. I'm a parent. I understand where that comes from. But I realized it for myself and my family. My wife and I discussed this recently. We realized that if we didn't take that opportunity when my son had turned 4. If we didn't take that 6-month trial period, which we did originally, this was originally a 6-month trial period, that's now permanent, we wouldn't have left. We would have just put it off to a new milestone. Oh, when he hits secondary school. Oh, when the second one hits secondary school. But that would have never happened, because the more and more you wait, the more and more ingrained you are, and the more and more difficult it is to take your child out of the system and actually uproot and go and pay school fees. Remember, schooling in the UK is free, state school anyway, and that is a massive benefit, a huge benefit. I can't lie. It's free, right? You pay for it through your taxes, but it's free. Every child is entitled to a space. The quality of what you get is dependent on where you live, all of these kind of nuances. But so to up and root yourself to come to Ghana and pay top dollar for schooling is not appealing, right? Let's just call it spade. It's not appealing, especially if you've got multiple kids, etc. You got schools which educate your kids for free. You're happy, you're over the moon. So that's another reason why people get stuck in the UK or whatever, US or wherever. I think another reason is kind of like a bit of a controversial one. Recency bias around what Ghana is and isn't. A lot of the time, I think culturally we have quite an external locus of control. It's almost like, it's somebody else's fault for the conditions that we may find ourselves in, or something else, supernatural, etc., will fix it. We don't inherently have that internal locus of control. What do I mean by that? Is because our forefathers, etc., have experienced a really bad Ghana, right? Economically, a really bad Ghana. Even now, there are a lot of inherent challenges that you don't experience in the West, right? I was watching that video recently by the YouTuber, I forget his name, talking about how easy it is to build a house in the US because you just inherently plug into their infrastructure and off you go. So that leaves a bad, let's say, taste in the mouth when it comes to navigating the system here. And people don't forget the challenges that they've experienced previously when it comes to the country, right? And obviously, what happens is we then tell these stories over and over again and we kind of have a little bit of a negative self-talk when it comes to our own country. Oh, the country's not this, the country's not that, blah, blah, blah. Don't get me wrong, there's problems here, but there's a lot of complaining that's going on. And there's a lot of the government needs to be doing this, I buy this, I buy that. I believe you're responsible for your own environment. I'll leave it there. So I feel like there's cultural negativity around our country, unfortunately. And unfortunately for us, other people come and navigate that negativity. Another reason will probably be just over comfort. The UK system for us, if it wasn't for the challenges we were having with schools and things like that, we could have been very comfortable there. Very isolating, but very comfortable. Everything at your fingertips. It is a consumption environment. It's not an environment that you're forced to create. This is an environment where you're forced to create. You're forced to do things out of your comfort zone. You're forced to grow. So I think that's another reason why people get stuck in the UK. Another reason I think is also people who have gone and want to come back, if you don't come back with anything new or growth, then it can be shameful. So people are often stuck out in the West trying to get off the hamster wheel and can't, because the costs of living is so high relative to wages, especially if you're in a typical working class worker environment. You can't actually get out. You actually get stuck, you can't get out. I did a video recently on like why your 9 to 5 might be key, but you have to be entrepreneurial in your 9 to 5. You have to grow through your 9 to 5. You have to try and get bonuses, those kind of things. So there's a lot of games that are being played that you are in and you're playing. Your attention may be distracted. Maybe check your usage on social media. How long do you spend consuming versus creating? So I think the West is inherently a place where you can consume and be very dormant and not meet your full potential, but be very comfortable. Ghana's not like that. You'll be uncomfortable till you reach your full potential. And that discomfort often holds people back from actually coming and taking the plunge, you know? Yeah, I think that's pretty much it, guys. I think those are what 4 or 5 reasons why people get stuck in the West. I think the most prevalent one is your children. You want your children to be in a good, comfortable situation. Yeah, guys, I think that's it. I think those are the core reasons I observe people get stuck in the UK and getting too comfortable, negative self-talk about your own country, using the kids as an excuse / it is a reason. Yeah, I think there's a couple of reasons. Just airing my thoughts. Hope you enjoyed the video. Talk soon. Bye.